My name is Daniel Buster. I'm part of a farming business with two brothers and a brother-in-law, and we've been in Bourke for about 25 years farming here. The farm that we operate on is about 16,000 hectares, and we farm here cotton, irrigated cotton. We farm melons called rock melons, oranges, navel oranges, and we also grow wheat in the wintertime. Well, for us, backpackers here in Australia are overseas people, by definition under the age of 30, that are literally travelling around looking for the experiences of Australia. Our farm is 900 kilometres inland from the coast, from Sydney. We don't get a lot of backpackers here. Most backpackers in Australia are along the coast between Cairns, up in northern Queensland, all the way down to Melbourne. But backpackers come out here to Bourke primarily for harvesting summer crops, which are the oranges, rock melons, and sometimes in the cotton harvest. That they usually are highly identifiable because English is their second language. They're usually young. They're usually needing a place to stay, and they're enthusiastic about finding work. A delicate question.
Yeah.
Here in Bourke, unemployment is almost always about 12 to 15%. Basically, if there are more jobs in Bourke, people move to Bourke and take up those jobs. If there are fewer jobs in Bourke because of drought or economic downturn, people leave Bourke. But the unemployment rate stays quite steady. Two reasons why we've found backpackers have been good employees, especially this year, is that they're keen to work. They specifically come here to make a lot of money in a short period of time, so they would like to work 6 days a week. They're happy to work some overtime. That's one reason. The second reason is anyone that's going to travel and come overseas, spend their money to do that, and then to come inland to a small regional area like this, they're looking for new experiences. Just the fact of being here and looking for work here selects people of a certain type. People that are only interested in partying or staying within their comfort zone, they don't come out here. They stay in the cities, they stay on the coast. Coming out here means you've got people that are looking for something a bit different and are prepared to be outside their comfort zone a little. We've had difficulty finding people that will work part-time, because a lot of this work is part-time here in Bourke. Either A, they have full-time jobs, or B, they just are not interested in the work. They are important, and they're certainly becoming more important. Right now, at this time, we have about 10 backpackers that are working on our farm, but we also have about 12 contracted employees. This is a labour contractor who we contracted to bring up a crew for the casual work. And that is always available also. So it's not depending upon backpackers, but they're a very good option for us. Three years ago, before the global financial crisis, as they called it, Australia had quite a severe labour shortage. There was we were in the middle of a very, very large mining boom. New mines, a lot of employment, a lot of infrastructure development, especially in Western Australia, the Northern Territory. And that took a lot of labour from rural areas, better money, much better money, and much better prospects. Australia embarked on a immigration program. It was a selected immigration program of using special skill immigration visas, bringing people out. And part of that was bringing people in for agricultural reasons. So it's been, we've not utilised that for various reasons. We don't need to, but it's another option we would have if, you know, we couldn't get backpackers. But backpackers fill a very, very good role, especially European backpackers for us. A lot of our labour requirement is in the middle of our summer here, which is very hot. It's the middle of winter in Europe. They're wanting to go somewhere where it's warm and hot and not freezing and snowing. You know, so that becomes a very good option. The other thing that we do use out here to a certain extent are university students also. It's usually contacts of friends. A lot of them are international students that, you know, again, are looking for the Australian experience, and they will, you know, have a contact from a friend and they will come out and work also. We've had a lot of Korean backpackers come through. It seems with Korean backpackers will, they've usually done English as a second language. Somewhere, Sydney or the Sunshine Coast or the Gold Coast, that usually, it seems to be a 3-month course they do. And then they have a car and friends and a English-Korean translation book, and they come out. And usually they've come here because they have friends that have, or someone that they know that has been here before. They usually by that time they're looking to earn money. They've spent a lot of money at the schools, and they're looking to fill up the bank account again, and then to continue to travel. We've not gotten any backpackers from the United States that we know of. We get some European backpackers from France, Germany, Denmark, Holland, England. They it varies a lot, actually. It varies a lot of the English and Irish people will stay quite long, I think, because English is a mother tongue to them, and culturally it's quite similar. But a lot of backpackers from other cultural backgrounds, it's always a short period of time, because I think life is not. Life's always a bit difficult in someone else's culture, and if they have friends or family associates or something that is more similar to what they're used to, they will go there. So they will go back to Sydney or Brisbane or somewhere where they might have other friends that they live with, that similar food, they can speak their mother tongue, things like that. But I don't know if there's a major, ethnic stereotypes that come through. Can I tell you my Dutch joke on a French documentary?
Of course.
We've had 2 or 3 people from the Netherlands stay and work with us, and this is how it goes in English. It says, "You can always tell a Dutchman, but you can't tell him much." That's the joke. In other words, no, he won't listen to you. You can you can identify him, but you can't tell him much. He'll never listen to you. He'll never take instructions. But yeah, no, I don't. Other than that, there's not a lot of the language issue is always the bigger one. If they struggle to understand instructions, or if they struggle to relate, it always makes it a little more difficult. Oh yes. Last June in 2009, my wife and I were going to go for 3 or 4 months to Europe. Because Europe is 10,000 kilometers away, we see it as one little country. And we were just going to rent a car and drive around like we do in Australia. But it does. I would love to travel. I meet people like yourselves, like other backpackers we've had. We've had some French agricultural students, and I look at their photographs, I listen to their stories, I hear about their families, and all I want to do is go, not just travel, but live in other places and see it for ourselves. Yes, very much. We've had, I think the most humorous ones for us are Koreans that come. I think it's because there's so little relationship between the languages. European languages, sometimes words sound sort of similar and you can stumble your way through, but Koreans, it's just different to English. And they will, come to the office and they have the translation book with them. And, to say, "Do you have work?" might take 10 minutes. And then I ask them, "Do you have accommodation, somewhere to stay?" That might be another 10 or 15 minutes. "Start work tomorrow, 7 o'clock. That might take 10 minutes. You must practice a lot of patience sometimes with. It's the language thing. I think the other thing we've noticed with especially some of the contracted picking crews we've had is you can get. To an Australian, we just see everybody else as foreigners, so we put them all in one basket. That's just foreigners over there, Australians here. But all these foreigners, they have their own little baskets that they put everybody else in. So if you have Germans and Turks working together, or French and English, or different combinations, sometimes when you are organizing work or organizing accommodation, you have to be a bit sensitive to not just personalities, but also just these cultural variations that that normally as an Australian you wouldn't think of, and you might say, well, they just have to get over it. But, you know, it's part of their nature, it's part of their culture, it's part of how they identify themselves. And that becomes a bit difficult. Anything with driving vehicles is always interesting with backpackers. Quite often, because this country is very, very large and very, very flat, and we drive long distances. For instance, on I live on my farm, but I have to drive 9 kilometers to where I work. I'm still on my farm. I don't see that as a problem, and I arrive there every time. But if you tell someone from another language and from another, just their experience with what happened places is quite different to go somewhere. Well, it suddenly when they're on their own, it's very big, it's very large, they get lost, they end up in places where they have no idea where they are, and you have no idea where they went or why they went there. And we've had numerous times we use a UHF radios in tractors and farm vehicles and homes, and you send out distress calls asking if you've seen this person anywhere because they've fallen off the face of the earth and we have no idea where they've gone. And that presents a challenge. The other one is if you say, follow me. So they are in a vehicle and they're following you, and all of our roads out here are dirt roads, or no tarmac, and a lot of dust. And you'll be driving along and you'll see in your rear vision mirror, this car is right behind you. I mean, in all the dust, they might lose you, but there's no other car for 20 kilometers, but they're right behind you all the time driving in the dust. We think it's a small thing, but we think, why are you driving so close? You can stay back 200 meters and still see where I go. But all these things, this is just makes up for the variety of life. I think for my wife Jenny and I, what we really do enjoy most is the experience of just sharing our lives with people from other parts of the world. When you live in one place for a long time, that can be your worldview is just there. And to understand that people's experience of the world, of how they relate to one another, of how they see the worldview, can be very, very different. And if you don't open yourself up to that, if we don't just invite them into our lives, if we don't share our lives with them, I'm sure that I miss out. And so that's why I enjoy working with people from other places. Sometimes it can be difficult, and there's frustrations, but all the small things that cause the difficulties and the frustrations are the actual things that make life so different. But yet they're people that have families, have loves, ambitions, have other places that they call home, that makes it so similar. And that's what I really enjoy. That's what I really enjoy about it. Yeah. I was not able to do it well, but my father moved here. Our family moved here from the United States 50 years ago. And now I'm here farming, what my father started. My children are backpacker age, 20, 26. in that age range. And it is easy to, especially if you're a landowner and an employer, you can become arrogant in that because it's your right, it's what your family does. It's you can become very arrogant in that. And I think one of the best ways to understand what it means to be privileged, and living in Australia is a very privileged life to a lot of the rest of the world, is to meet and experience people from other parts of the world, from other cultures, from other backgrounds, because this is not, life here is not normal for other people. It's quite unusual. We think it's normal, and understanding that, and my children have left home now, but it is one of the things that I wanted to get across to my children, that what you grow up with is not necessarily normal and you're right. It's the world's much, much bigger than that. And so when people come like yourselves, it's all part of that, that if I can show you something of what we have, might not be normal for you, but this is how we live. Very deep, very philosophical.
No, that's perfect.